Good morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the next session in SAP UI5 and Fiori training. In the last episode in SAP UI5, we started with HTML5 introduction. We saw what is the difference between HTML and HTML5, what are all the different things which you should keep in mind and standard we should ideally refer to while writing an HTML tags. We also saw W3C is the organization which is responsible for end-to-end implementation, development, and maintenance of the tag definition for HTML. We saw the structure of an HTML page, and towards the end, there was an exercise. I am really, really thankful to all of you for sending me the responses. I was overwhelmed by the number of participation with respect to this exercise. Thank you so much. But the very first response which I've received was from Prudvi. So Prudvi has sent me by the time I reached office yesterday. In just 30 minutes, he has sent me the response. This was the fastest finger first response from Prudvi. Thank you so much, Prudvi. And your response takes precedence for me because you were the first one. And I've already uploaded the solution of that exercise on our training blog, what Prudvi has provided. So you guys can go ahead and refer the same accordingly. Of course, I have seen a lot of amazing responses also where people have gone beyond the boundary. They've done a lot of Googling and they have also put a lot of amazing stuff like drop down. Somebody has put radio button for gender. Somebody has put a couple of buttons. Somebody have put a couple of frames. So that was really, really nice. I really enjoyed the looking into the solution of most of yours. But unfortunately, I didn't have that much of time to reply to each one of your emails. But yes, it was really very nice. So towards the end of the class, we will again discuss about the doubts if you have anything regarding that. Yeah. So let's go ahead. And now what we are going to discuss in further in this section is more HTML tags. Yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about some more HTML tags. What has been improved with HTML5? So today's class will start with a bang. So in today's class, the first important tag which we are bringing up or introducing is the tag which is actually my favorite tag. If you remember the days when we used to play an audio file on internet or a video file on internet, it used to give us a pop-up, right? It used to give us a pop-up, please install something called Flash Player, right? Something called Flash Player, please install a Flash Player or something. This is the kind of pop-up which we used to get if you ever would like to play any song on internet or any video on internet, right? So now HTML5 has simplified this. Yeah, HTML5 has got something called audio and video tag. Direct support for audio and video was provided by HTML5. So this is the amazing stuff what HTML5 have done. It is providing a direct support for audio and video tag. So this is what we will see it in a second. So let me just open some audio files on internet and I show you how can we integrate that. So what we have to put is we have to put an audio tag, and maybe I'll just start putting that on the top about the anchor tag. So let's bring it also on side by side view. So I just bring both our output and our request on side by side, and I'll just put an audio and I'll put an src property for audio, or maybe just put an audio tag with controls. So you can see you can always put this controls property to indicate that I want audio controls like play, pause button, volume control, and download option. So let's refresh. And now you would see, guys, there is a nice audio control which is available on the right hand side of the screen, which indicates that yes, we have a support for audio now. But you can see the play button is not active. The reason is very simple, because we don't have right now any source of audio mentioned for this audio tag. What is the source from where it should play the audio? And I just put a src. And what is this src? You can put a local audio file, which is part of your project, or you can also refer to a file from internet. So let me just go to internet and Google, let's say my favorite one from AR Rahman. and I just say please search for an MP3, and I'm just gonna find maybe an MP3 file on internet where I can really go and play that up. So let's go and check it out from AR Rahman, and I will just scroll down, maybe just find some file where I can go ahead and play this song by AR Rahman. Just click on that. Okay, it's not giving a play option, so this is very very difficult now on internet to actually go ahead and find the file where you can really get the audio path of that file. So you got to search a lot on internet. Some website they do offer the link, some website they do not offer a link, right? So you have to just go and check if there is a website which is actually offering you a playable song, so that you can get the path of that song from that website actually. So let me just check, or maybe just search for another song. Search for that, and most of the links which you're getting here, just go inside. Yes, here you can see there is some kind of playable option to play this music file. And what you got to do now is just right click on this and say copy audio address, guys. Okay, you have to say copy audio address. Just copy the audio address, and this is how you should embed this audio address now as part of your project. Okay, so right now this one also is not kind of playing. I'm not sure what's wrong. Yeah, it will play. So let me right click, say copy audio address, and I just put here and put our path over here in the audio tag. You can see the complete path of that audio file is now part of my src property in the audio tag. I just save this. Let's go to our website, and now I'm just going to refresh quickly, and once I refresh you can see still it did not become active because there is some problem in my Chrome browser. I'm going to run this particular file into a Chrome browser now, maybe if it works over there. So I just go to Firefox. So just keep multiple browsers installed in your system, guys. They are always very, very helpful, because some or the other thing, if they are not working, try to put your 100%. Try to check in different devices, different operating systems, different browsers, if it is possible somehow to get that file executed. And guys, you remember yesterday's class we talked about HTML, browser directly understand HTML. So you don't have to run with this URL which WebID is giving. Rather than you can directly find the path where that HTML file is, and you can directly put that HTML file address here in the top. So let's go and find out what is the path where that HTML is stored. So of course it's on my WebID directory. I'll just quickly switch my computer, and I will switch to my web IDE directory. So I'll just go to the D drive, my web IDE, and here inside the Eclipse folder you would see the server workspaces. Inside that AN and Anubhav 1, and inside that we will have Orient content, and inside that we have the basic, and inside that we have our index.html. You can see this one. So I'm going to take this complete path as it is and pump it to my Firefox browser with slash index HTML. And watch out, guys, the whole page will now open here in the Firefox browser also, because browser understand HTML directly. So it's now going to, I'm calling that file, and you see it has launched my website in this browser. And now you see the playable time is 4.32 seconds. This is what it is showing here. It means there is some problem right now, maybe some cookie or some kind of plugin or some kind of support is not available right now. It's not allowing to run. But in the Firefox now, let me play this audio, and I just clicked on play button. Let's see what happens. Do we get some kind of audio? Yes, you can see it's playing up the song. Thanks to HTML5 for providing the support. You can see this is the amazing stuff which HTML gives us. Yeah. Thanks to HTML5 for providing direct audio support, guys, for all the kind of audio files. I hope you can hear the song. It's playing directly from the internet. Direct audio support from HTML5 guys. So that's a direct support for HTML5 audio tags. No extra plugins, no extra requirement to run an audio file which is completed, which is placed at some location. You can directly support that with HTML5. That's another feature. That's another difference between HTML and HTML5. Let's note it down in our PPT. So we have direct support for audio and video tag by HTML5. Now you'll say, Anubhav, what about video? Yes, of course, you have a video support also. Let's go ahead and set that up. So there's some setting, I think I have to check it in my browser. Because of that, it's not running. I have to probably check that setting. I'm not sure what is that setting which is affecting here in this case. So now let's go ahead and check for video support. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just find out a video path on internet. So maybe I just search for video tag W3C to get an address of a video file. I just go to the W3C schools where I may find some video, and you see there is a big Buck Bunny video over here. Just right click on the big Buck Bunny video and copy the URL. So we copied the video address now, and now we will go back and let's address that as well. So let's put in video tag this time and put the path of the big Buck Bunny video controls so that we can also see the control. About play pause buttons, refresh, and voila, there you go. You can see the big Buck Bunny video is now part of my website here, and I can of course pretty easily play this video. There you go. You can see the video is playing up. You have controls like volume control, you have download option, you have automatic maximize the screen. All these kind of features are there. Now the question comes is, Anubhav, can we also integrate YouTube video like this? No guys, you cannot integrate YouTube video like this because YouTube does not give you MP4 file. When you copy the path of a YouTube video, it does not give an MP4 file path. Okay, the audio video tag directly supports MP3, MP4, or all these different formats, but YouTube does not give an MP4 path. That's why YouTube video cannot be integrated. But is there any way then to do so? Yes, there is a way. We will discuss that in a minute. So that's another difference between HTML and HTML5, direct support for audio and video tag. Let's move on to the next tag, which is also very interesting tag, and it's called table tag, or also called a list tag first of all. So list tag is called UL tag. It stands for unordered list. So I'll put a UL tag, and in this UL tag, maybe I'll just put list items. So each UL tag has a collection of alike list items. I'll just put a list item called intro. ABAP on HANA. Then I'll put list item as oops ABAP. Then I'll put here list item as Fiori Advance and Launchpad. Then I'll put next list item as maybe HANA Access. Let's say I put these many lists. I click on save button and refresh the page. And you can see here all the list items are appearing on my screen. That's an unordered list item. Now, if I just change this UL tag to OL tag, I should see ordered list item. So let's put OL tag, and now I'll just put LI tag list item, and I'll just maybe putting once again couple of programs. So let's say ABAP, year of plus, and I'll put another list item as maybe floor plan manager. Click on save button, and let's come back and refresh. And voila, you can see now this is an ordered list An ordered list gets this number by default. However, an unordered list doesn't get the number, it gets bullet points. So that's how the list tag works, ordered list and unordered list tag. Now there's an exercise for all of you in today's class, the exercise number 2, which is for class number, I think class number 4. So the exercise here, what you got to do is we need to design a list with SAP UI5, then ABAP on HANA, Fiori Launchpad, and HANA Access, and Hybris. These are all the items you should have in the list, which is an unordered list. And each item, when we click, should be a clickable link. And when we click, it should open a YouTube video from Anubhav's channel. Let's see how many of you can complete. Yesterday I taught you two concepts, nesting of tag and anchor tag. It's pretty easily achievable with that technique. How can you make a clickable link? Yesterday we saw making a clickable image. This time you got to work upon how to make a clickable list item. So that's an exercise. Where do you find these videos? Always you can go to my website onlinetheorytrainings.com. This is the center place where you can find all these videos, demo videos. Just go to this website, and now you see here there's a video for SAP UI5, and then there is a video for Fiori Advanced, Fiori Launchpad. So just right click on the video, which you can see it here, and then after that, once you right click, you will get an option to say copy video URL, right? So you can get a video URL, copy video URL here. This is the URL of the video, which will take you directly to the video. So that's how you can get the URL of the video, and then you have to make it clickable link for each of the list item which you have to which I've given here. Okay, so try that out exercise, and let's see how many of you can complete that within 12 hours. Okay, moving on. So that's about the list item. What about if I want multiple columns? So right now list is one single column which comes, right? It's like a stack. So what about if I want multiple columns? I want multiple columns. So of course, to get multiple columns, very easy. You got to design a table this time. So let's go ahead and design a table control. So I'm going to come back and let's put a table control over here. Now guys, in SAP or in HTML5, how does a table control looks like? Typically a table, wherever you see a table control, a table has rows and columns. So in this case, this table which you see, it has of course rows and columns. Every table, the top of the table, the first row of the table which you see here is typically or known as or called to be something called table header. This is called table header. Okay, this is called table header. Below this table header, you will see these further sections here. These are called table body. Now in the table header, you see these are table headings. These are called th tags. Okay, and then below in this, you will see in the table body, we have multiple table rows. TR tags. TR means table row. So inside this table header, table body, we have multiple TR. So every line, every record which you see is known to be a TR, table row. And then each of the TR inside, we have table data. These are all table cells actually, table data. That's what we have it actually. That's our whole table. This is how we got to design a table. So table, this whole table has table header, table body, table rows, then table headings and table data. Of course, the first table heading. Collection of table heading is also a table row, but it has elements as table headings. But here we have table data, cell data. Let's go inside and try to create a simple table now. I'm just going to put side by side once again, and I just put table header, and let's put a table body, and let's put a table header record, one tr tag, which has table headings, th tag. Let me add 3 columns on the top of the table. First column is, let's say, my song name. The second column is my artist name, and the next one is play now. Basically, we are planning to prepare a music library here in this example, and this music library has a list of all your favorite music. Yeah. So now in this below we can have a table record, tr tag, and this table record has a table data. And of course, since you have 3 columns, you will also have 3 cells inside. So likewise, this table record you may have multiple table records repeating. So right now I just added 3 of them, and let me just put the song name. So maybe Ma Tujhe Salam by none other than A.R. Rahman. And then here, that's another exercise for all of you. You have to bring an audio tag with the playable music. Find out on internet this song somewhere. What is the address where the song is placed on internet? You got to search this song, and then you got to put it. Now, not necessary this song. You can just go ahead and have your own favorite music song. Just change the name, artist name, and then put an audio tag inside. So you have to now bring in an audio tag, an audio element in each of the table record with your favorite playable music. So that's exercise number 2 on day 4. So bring an audio tag or bring a playable audio in each of table record for music. So that's an exercise. How do you do that? You got to do that. All the necessary knowledge I have given to you, like I showed you today. So you have to go and do that. Let me see if you can do correct nesting, proper nesting with proper audio file integration. It's a difficult job. Again, I'm repeating, to find the right audio file on internet. It's a very, very difficult job. You have to just break your head a little bit to try that out. So that's first part. The second thing here is, let's put the first thing, and then let's put the second thing. So I will just put, let's say, Bhula Jise movie Airlift, and this is none other than by KK. And then I say maybe let's put a next song. So maybe I'll just put song name whatever I like. Maybe I just say Beautiful, and this is from Walkings. And let's put an audio song probably here. Likewise, you got to go ahead and put the song audio tags and then bring an integration with that. So let's see how does the table look like on the screen. Let's come back, refresh the page on the right, and there you go. You can see our table, how it looks. So this is how our table looks. It has got rows, it has got heading, it has got column, but it doesn't really look like a table. You may ask, Anubhav, it really doesn't look a table. It doesn't have any horizontal, vertical line separators for the table. Yes, guys, if you see, in fact, our entire page, it has no formatting, it has no coloring, it really does not have any kind of beautification, right? Because HTML is only used to create a static web content. Try to understand the definition. HTML cannot do anything beyond this. It can just create a static web content. If you now want to kind of apply some stability, if you want to right now kind of apply some kind of styling where you want to do coloring and all that stuff, then guys you only have an option to go with CSS. That's what we're going to learn in our next chapter. Let me just now note down at least the definition over here. H3. What is CSS? So definitely this is a one big doubt in all your mind. Another, why there is no formatting, no coloring, why the table looks so dirty, it doesn't even look like a table. Absolutely right. You're right. You're absolutely right. I'm agreeing to it. But that is something which is heavy dose of antibiotic. I'm gonna give you these doses and every day. And that is how we are learning together. So let's see right down here. CSS stands for emphasize tag, cascading style sheet. It is used to style, which includes formatting, coloring, size adjustment, positioning, length adjustments, etc. For so it does everything for you. So it is used to style your static web content. So any coloring, any related to styling, formatting, bordering, everything is taken care by CSS, cascading style sheet. Let's refresh here. And you can see the another definition is available for us to watch. So that's the biggest advantage here, guys, for using CSS. We're going to discuss that in our next unit. Together with that, in subsequent of that, I would also like to put here maybe another definition. What is JS? Right now we are not discussing, but it's a very important topic. Don't panic with the definition. JS stands for JavaScript, and now it is used to, or it is the only programming language which browser understand directly. Okay, it is browser's programming language. This is the only programming language which browser understand directly. The browser don't understand Java, browser don't understand BAP, browser don't understand WebIntro, browser doesn't understand UI5, browser only understand JavaScript. Here everyone, this is the programming language. So CSS and HTML, they are not programming languages. They are like mockups. Okay, but JS is the programming language. We're going to discuss in detail about the JS in upcoming unit. Before we move on, let's try and understand the architecture and the development, web development. What is that bare minimum you must know? Okay, how the architecture of a web application looks like. So every time in the website, whenever you access a website like Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, what happens behind the scenes? So this is called a client server architecture. You have something called a client and there is a server. Okay, now client could be your mobile, desktop, smartwatch, tablet, whatsoever you call it as. Inside this client there is a browser which is running. Okay, so here there is a browser, be it a Microsoft Internet Explorer, Firefox, Google's Chrome browser, Safari, whatsoever, that is running. Now whenever you say, hey, please browse facebook.com, fb.com, what happens? So there is somebody called there is something called address of a computer. Guys, whenever you want to write a letter to someone, what you guys do? You got to write the address of the person, right? Similarly, internet. What is internet? Internet is a collection of billions of these computers connected together. That's what internet is. Internet is a collection of these billions of computers which are connected together. That's what internet really is. And every computer has its address. So that address of a computer is denoted by what? What is that we denote this address of a computer? How the address of a computer is denoted by? It's denoted by IP address. Okay. Every computer has its IP address. With the help of that, you denote its address. So every computer on internet has a unique IP address. Let's say it looks like 132.198.0.5, something of this sort it looks like. That's how internet works. On internet, every computer which you have connected, it has its unique IP address. Now, this IP address is registered with something called Internet Service Provider, ISP. Okay, Internet Service Provider knows that which server it has to make a call, what is the exact address. Then what you need to do is you need to, whenever you're typing something on the browser makes a call to this ISP, because until unless you don't have an internet service provider, you will not be able to connect to internet. Like in US we have AT&T and other players, and in India we have Jio, Airtel. These are internet service providers. So first thing which happens, it checks if you have a valid internet service provider connection, which allows you to port you or be able to take your request to the internet, to these billions of servers. Once it goes there, now it knows that you are typing, let's say, facebook.com. So once you're connected to internet, it's ISP's job to now find out where is that computer which is kept and what is its address. So ISP, what it does, it is connected to all these computers and it checks, okay, there is a facebook.com which is typed, and it checks the registry, first of all, central registry on internet for facebook.com, what is IP address correspondingly. This is called DNS configuration, domain name server configuration. So ISP checks the DNS directory. It finds out, okay, this is the address for Facebook, and then ISP redirects you or tells you, hey, I have found out the address for you. Can you please make a call? Hey, browser, can you please make a call to this IP address? So that's what ISP gave you. It read the DNS directory and it told you, okay, this is the IP address you need to make a call. And now from the browser, it directly hits the Facebook server. The Facebook server, however, has a program written here. There is nothing like magic here, guys. There is a program which is written. This program has capability to sense the request. But how does the call comes to this program? Before the call comes, there is something called container. So container is nothing but it's a server which provides the runtime environment for your program to run on this server. So that's called, there are two types of servers. One is called web server and one is called application server. So one is called web server plus an application server. This is what a server actually has inside this, behind the scene. So web server is capable of listening to the web request. You see this request which has come. It has capability to listen to this request. And application server provides the runtime for your program. Now this program you can write in any programming language. Okay, this program which you see, you can write in any programming language. It could be in Java, it could be in ABAP, it could be in .NET, it could be in JSP, it can be in ASP, it can be in Perl, it can be Python. So there are different programming languages which you can use. The most popular programming languages are Python, Node.js and Java, which is typically used for building internet-based applications like Facebook, Twitter, Uber. All they are using these some of these programming languages. But for our context, ABAP is what we have on the server side which we use. So there is a program which has all the logic. For example, you have written, hey, can you check if it's a valid user password? So who is handling that request? Where is that code to check if the username is equals to something and password is equals to something? Then yeah, send him a login page, send him a profile. Yeah. Where is that code written? It's written in your server-side program. Now, before it reaches to server-side program, there is something called web server. A web server offers something called a port. What is a port? A port is nothing but here, this port is capable of handling the request type. So typically the HTTP request is handled by port 8080. That's a standard port number what we use. What is a port actually? Guys, to enter inside a house, what do you need? Can you enter inside any house from any direction? How do you enter inside a house? You need a door, right? So this is actually a doorway towards the house. So this doorway simply reject the request for the people whom they don't know. So this is the door says, okay, this is permission actually. This is actually your kind of request which comes to the server. If the request is not valid type, it is going to simply reject. So there are simple different ports for different types of requests. Typically in the world of internet, in the world of the kind of web application we build, we use port number 8080, and this is called an HTTP request. Okay, HTTP means Hypertext Transmission Protocol request, simply known to be a request on internet. Request of type internet type request. Now, guys, what are all the other type of request? There are requests like FTP. FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol. Somebody, if you have ever worked with, for example, share market, so what happens every day after the close of share market? We get the closing files. We get the files where we will get to know what was the stock price which was closed today. So that's how do you download such files? You can use FTP server provided by exchanges which can allow you to do that. We have SMTP, which is used for send mail transmission protocol. Yeah, that's what SMTP stands for. So likewise, we have different types of web servers which offers different services. So most of the web server which are like website hosting used, they are all HTTP and HTTPS. That also is here only. HTTPS is secure. S means secure. So that's hosted typically on 8080 and 8083. HTTPS on 8083 and HTTP on 8080. So that's the port number. For this one, we have different port number. For this one, we have different port number. Some web servers only offer database services. So for that, port number is again different. So just try to understand, port number is your doorway. It's the door to enter inside the house. Similarly, this is the port number it's a door to enter inside the house. So now to make it easy, what websites have also done, along with the IP address, they put the port number also here in the DNS mapping, so that you don't know behind the scene what is the IP address and what is the port number it is going. But this is important for a web server. When a request comes to this port, now this port is listening continuously to request. Request comes, it redirects this request after checking if it's a valid request to the program. And in the program, then you have the code. Somebody was asking, Anubhav, where do we check this username password is correct or not? You write it in the server side program. And these are all the languages on the server side which you can use to do that magic. We're going to do this in ABAP language in upcoming days when we'll reach to OData chapter. So right now we are learning the batting. So this is the batting side we are right now playing. We will only play building this one in our 60% of the course, 80% of the course. In the last 20% of our course, we'll do bowling. So this is the bowling part. So we will learn both batting and bowling also. Okay. This is bowling and this is batting. Clear everyone? Are you clear with batting and bowling? This is your batting part and this is your bowling part. So we will be learning first the batting in 80% of our course, how to build an application which is capable of displaying in the browser and send a request to the server, and how to then do a bowling part to actually consume this information and then build and handle this request. And then from here you may be calling a ECC server database where your Mara table is stored, where your VBAC table is stored. You may call the database here. You may do a send email. You may probably trigger a workflow. You may start a IDOC. You may start a BDC recording. You may trigger an insert operation in database. You may read, update, delete the data from database. You can do lots of stuff on the server side. So client will make a request, server calls this program, and in this program you are doing all that stuff. Okay. Now coming back, try to understand the type of request. This is the most important point which you should never ever forget. What are all the types of request we have? So let's note down what are all the types of request, and we call it as HTTP types. types of request, and what is the purpose of these requests. Okay, and what is the other name which we call it as these type of requests. So now the first type of request is called get request. Okay, it's called get request. Get request is used to read the data. Anytime you have a need to read the data, you will use get request. Okay, we have something called post request. Post request is used to create new data. So if somebody is saying I'm making a post request, means they're trying to create a record. They're trying to create something on the server side with that kind of request. Then comes is get put request. The put request is used to update the data. We call it as read, create, update, and then we have delete request to delete the data. It's also called delete. And then we sometimes also have merge, patch. They're also just to change small set of data. This is called merge request. Okay. Likewise, we have these upmost these four types of requests are used in industry. Whether you read something from server, you will write something to server, you will update something or delete something. These are called get, put, post, and delete. It's called create, read, update, and delete. Together with these four, create, read, update, and delete, we call them as CRUD operation. Okay, we call them a CURD operation. Some people call them CURD operation. Create, update, read, delete. Some people can call it as CRUD operation. Create, read, update, and delete. Okay, so that's what it means whenever you're designing a web-based application or mobile application, like we will be doing in upcoming days. We'll design a front-end application, and that application should be able to perform all these type of operations, just like you typically do in ABAP. You write a report which reads the data. You write a dialog program which creates the data, updates the data, deletes the data. Similarly, we will be doing that in upcoming days. But don't forget these HTTP types. This is very important. Do not ever forget these types. This is the most most important topic. Never ever forget. So now what happens, how the Facebook works. So you type facebook.com, it goes to ISP, it finds out the DNS IP address, and it gets you to the browser, and now it makes a call to the facebook.com. What type of request it makes? It makes a get request first. Okay, this get request Facebook sends, okay, it's a HTTP request, valid. It goes and it returns now the Facebook home page to you. Okay, you will now see an HTML page which Facebook returns. The beauty of browser can display this HTML directly. Are you clear, guys? It sends you an HTML page. So let me show you parallelly trying this out. I'll go to internet, and here I will type, let's say, twitter.com. Okay, so I'll just go to maybe twitter.com, and here you will see it making a get request. It gone and it sent you a response of HTML. You see this is an HTML which I've got because browser understand HTML directly. You can also right click and say view page source to see this HTML what Twitter has returned me, right? This is the HTML which Twitter has returned me. Yeah, this is the HTML which I've received from Twitter. You see some meta tags. Yeah, meta tags. So you see that you see some input tag here. See this input tag. Yeah, so that's what it has returned me finally on the screen. So I made a get request. It gave me an HTML file which my browser is capable of showing now because browser understands HTML directly. Now in the next call, what browser does, browser makes a call to server again. When you type your username password, let's say I do login, and I type my some username password xyz at gmail.com or something I type, and I click on login button. Okay, I click on login button. So this time it has to now validate this username password. What is the secure way? Yesterday I told you in the class which is the secure way to send data to server which is not visible in the URL. Post request, perfect answer. Now it makes a post request to say, hey, please post this data to the server, and I want to check if you have a valid username password or not. So it makes a post request now. In the post request now, here it checks whatever username password is sent via the post request. It checks those username password here, and now after that it sends you a response back. If the username password is correct, it will send you a profile page. Again, it sends an HTML file with your profile page. If it is not, it's again going to send an HTML file according to the failure. It will give you a failure message. So you want to see how that post request is going. We can actually see that. Let's come back. I entered some username password. I press F12 now, and in F12 go to network tab. Network tag is your best friend in the F12, which I showed you F12 yesterday. Here you will see all the go requests which are going from the browser to the Twitter server or to any server for that matter. Let's click on log on, and voila, can you see here it's making a lot of calls. You see there are different calls it's making up. So somewhere you can see it is sending, okay, it's using a get request with masking. You see on the top username or email, on the top it is making a get request for this, but for password handling it's doing via session. So there's something called session, and you see this session is a post request which it is making to Twitter sessions for connecting to that username. Yeah. So it's making a post request with the password information, and for the just sending an email, it's putting it via the get request. It's sending to the server. So it's sending a password. It's sending the username to the server. So that is how the requests are being made. You can always check those requests. This network tag it is going to help you in future big time we will use. Actually, in this whole of this F12 we will be using elements, console and network tab, three and sources. These four major important tabs we will be using: sources, console, network and elements. So by far we have seen the purpose of elements. It shows you the runtime structure of HTML. What is the name of that runtime structure of HTML? Who will answer? What do you call? Santosh, perfect answer. Vaishali, Ajit, you're all right. It's DOM. We can see the DOM in the elements. Perfect answer, guys. Very good answer. Thank you so much for that. That's called DOM. So to see the DOM, we go to the element section. To see all the calls which is making the get, put, post, delete call, all the calls which is making get, post, put, delete calls, all the calls which is making to the network, the requests which is making to the network, it's all can be seen in network tab. Console is actually your best friend. So whenever there is an error in your programming code which is written in JavaScript, you're going to see those errors in console. Sources is also your best friend to see what is that loaded in the browser. So if you go to sources, you will see our HTML file would have loaded in the browser. So okay, we are not running this one. So you see here Facebook, twitter.com files are loaded. Yeah, but if you go to our website, you will see for our website the content which gets loaded in the sources tab. So whatever our HTML file, you will see that HTML file gets loaded in the browser. So I go to there and sources, and you can see our index HTML file with our image also got loaded here, and our index HTML file also loaded here. So this is what, once browser loads it, then only browser can display it. So browser now displaying, so you typed an HTML and browser turns that to this, because browser is understanding HTML directly. It's converting this HTML to the desired output for the user on the screen. Okay, that's about the client server architecture. Very important. So always observe a pattern. You make a request, you got a response. You make a request, you got a response. So what do you call this architecture? Anybody? Every time the client is making a request and getting a response, this is called client server architecture or request response architecture. Are you clear? Request response architecture. What is request response architecture? This is called request response architecture or client server architecture. If somebody asks you in interview what is client server architecture, I hope you will be able to explain it. Or request response architecture, where a client or a browser which is running inside a mobile tablet or desktop makes a request to the server. Server checks the type of the request. It handles the request. It has a server-side program written in any of the programming language. It is a combination of a web server plus application, and finally sends you back the response to the client. Okay. So If somebody is saying offline application means it has no connectivity to server. Have you ever tried running Uber application when you were without connecting to internet? Have you ever tried running or booking a cab or Uber or Ola without connecting to internet? What happens? It gives you an error, right? So when the internet connection is not there, it won't have it cannot read the nearby cabs, right? As long as you don't have internet connection, it doesn't read the Uber database. It doesn't have a connection to database to read where are the cabs, right? So this is the reason why it you get those errors. So sometimes some applications does not need really the server connectivity, but it is very rare. Most of the internet applications, they all need server connectivity. That's why internet is part of our life. Without internet, it's like nothing. We can't work on anything, right? So this is very important. Client server architecture, and we are going to work day and night with this architecture in going forward days. Now, the last HTML tag which I was talking about is iframe tag. Very important HTML tag. It's called iframe tag. What is iframe tag? It is a tag which can be used to embed another HTML file inside. Okay. This is a tag which you can use to embed another HTML file. So my website is also actually returning me an HTML file, right? So everything is an HTML what you get. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to integrate my website. So let me scroll down till the bottom and I'm going to put an iframe tag with an src property. Sorry, it's an href property. http onlinetheorytrainings.com. So please go to internet and find this website and bring this website to me. Whatever content, so what it does, iframe, it makes a request again to this website. This website responds. That response is HTML file. That HTML file, please bring it and embed it in my website with the width and height property. I will say width is, let's say, 90% of the page, and height property is maybe I want it like 1000 pixels. That's the height of my frame. It's like subscreen. In ABAP, you might have worked with subscreen. So you have a screen. In this screen, you give a area, and in this area, there is something coming and sitting inside. So that's what happening. An iframe is created. This iframe is automatically making a request to a web server, and this web server is my online theory training server. And from here, my online theory trainings is responding an HTML file back to this iframe, which this iframe will display. This HTML will be displayed inside this iframe. So let's go ahead and see that. How can that be achieved? I can save it. I can come back here and I will refresh the page. Just scroll down the bottom and you see there is a nice iframe which is being built here. It's kind of a container. You can see its boundaries over here. And I think I've used a wrong property. It's src property, not the href property. Source of the path. Let's refresh. And I'll see, voila, there you go. You can see whole of my website is now embedded as part of this. Yeah. Whole of my online theory trainings website is actually coming and loading inside. So guys, you can build an HTML page which has all your social networking accounts with iframe. So one iframe for Facebook, one for Gmail, one for Twitter, one for Instagram, one for Tumblr, one for Blogger, one for SDN, one for anything. You can have a single page with multiple iframes talking to different websites. With a single page, you can maintain all your social media accounts. Hope you got an idea how the iframe works. Now, coming to the question, which was also there in our mind, how to embed a YouTube video. So you can see there is a YouTube video for SAP UI5 Fiori training. Let me right click here and I say copy embed code. So there is an option called to say copy embed code. So whenever a YouTube video, you see it also on YouTube directly or you see it on a website, you can right click on that YouTube video and choose an option called uh, one second. Sorry, it's just gonna start. Okay, so now here, right click and say copy video URL. Sorry, copy embed code. Just choose that. Now let's go back. One second. Just this video is running. just refresh. It started some somewhere, I don't know. Yeah, I close it and I'll just run this. So watch out guys, it has got me a page. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste that. So copy embed code and watch out, I'm just pasting that code and see what happened. System has got an iframe. You see? An iframe with the width and height of that YouTube video, whatever I wish to. And it has got now my YouTube video URL here. See here. It has got my YouTube video URL, and you see there is an option to allow autoplay, encrypt media, some options is because they are not necessary. You can just remove them. Same border you don't want, you can also remove them. The main part is iframe. It has got a width and height and a source from where the video is coming. Guys, remember YouTube video you can't embed via video tag, audio tag because they are not direct MP4 file path. They are part of the YouTube channel itself. Why YouTube does like this? Because YouTube does a tracking of how many plays have happened for your video, how many videos you have, all that YouTube is doing. And allow full screen option allows to give you that button to full screen mode for YouTube channel. Save it and now watch out, I come back and refresh, you will see an iframe will come up, the YouTube video bringing as part of this page. Voila, there you go. You can see this is our YouTube video, which is now part of the website. You can play, pause, stop, or everything you can control directly from here. That's how websites, the people, they are embedding their YouTube videos on their websites. Or if you ever have thought of a website or a HTML page, you can embed anybody's YouTube video like this via an iframe. That's how we embed a YouTube video. It's not supported via direct video tag because YouTube does not give a MP4 file path. Clear everyone? Any question before we close today's class? Time for your questions. We are done with HTML chapter. These tags are sufficient to learn and proceed with UI5. We are not planning to become a web application developer. Note that again I'm repeating, we are not here learning web application development. We will not build websites. Rather, we would need the knowledge of HTML5, CSS, JavaScript and apply that on UI5 context. That will be our main motto. That will be our main motive. Okay, guys. Any questions before we close today's class? So dynamic programming, if you
I
want to do,
am.
that's all done by JavaScript.
Hi, Anu. How do we play local audio and video?
Local audio, you got to just like local images we had. So similar to that, you have to have a maybe a folder where you import the image file, sorry, the MP3 file, and then you can give that path over here in audio tag.
Same like images.
Same like image. Yes.
Yeah, Anubhav, Hari here. I tried placing the image, but the image is not working
We
for
can check
the
your
yesterday
screen. You can check your
Yeah.
screen, no problem. So one more important thing is the path is case sensitive. So if you have put your folder name images I small and you're putting in the path I capital, it will not work. Can you please quickly check that? In the meantime, I'll address more doubts.
Okay.
What
Okay.
is the path
Anu,
is sensitive? Yes, please.
I actually could not understand the difference between double quotes and single quotes. Where should we use double quotes and where should we use single quotes in HTML?
In
I,
HTML
I
context, they can be used interchangeably. So there is no problem actually. You can use also single quote. There is no problem. They both are literals. So you can also do like this. It will work. Interchangeably, you can use both of them. Okay. So now you see, I use single quote. It will still work. It will not have a problem. When you go back, refresh the video tag I've used it. So that video tag will also load properly. It's no problem actually. Okay.
okay.
Post for a
And
create
what is
record post to check password. So Rohit, that's server side programming. We will learn server side programming in our last phase of the course, OData programming. That's where we are going to learn it. So you will be able to build also an application like that, which does a post and just checks if username password is valid by looking into your Z table in ABAP system and then validate the user accordingly. So that you can do it, Rohit. In our last unit, when we will talk about OData integration. Difference between web server and web application server. So web application, see guys, try to understand web server and application server are two different things. But when we combine both of them, that becomes web application server. So SAP, if you heard about the evolution of SAP basis, SAP was just an application server, yeah, initially, and then the dot-com bubble or the web-based application development pitched in the year 1995 to year 2005. That was the time when most of the web developments were happening around. So SAP, what they've also got a web server included as part of their application server, and it has become SAP WAS. Just instead of AS, it become WAS. That was the next generation R3, which SAP introduced with web application server. So if I just talk about a web server example, you might have heard about Tomcat, JBoss, yeah, these Nginx. These are all called pure web servers, which are capable of handling the web-based requests and then redirect it to your programming language. They are just pure web servers. Now, then the moment you want to run our programming language, you have to bring in application runtime, like JRE is application runtime, Java runtime environment. So that's part of your web server. So once you add those runtimes to the web server becomes eligible to now support your programming language. So that's why it becomes web application server, which has a web handling capability plus application capability. Both we can have it. Difference between div tag and br tag. Div tag, see, br tag is just a break. Okay, div tag is rather a box. In that box, you can add more content. Okay, br is just a line break. Br cannot use to encapsulate other content inside. But div tag, however, is used to create a block of content. It can encapsulate other content inside the div tag. br tag के अंदर कुछ नहीं डाल सकते हो. Just a line break, like u line. If you have you worked with the u line statement in ABAP? Those who are ABAPer, what does the u line statement does in ABAP? U-line. It just creates a line right on your list report. This is BR is like U-line. It doesn't add anything inside, but rather if you want to create a block, small block of application and then connect them all together, then these are all div tags. So this is a div tag. This is small blocks you have. These are all div tags. So BR cannot have anything inside. What is SAP UI5 Bootstrap and when to use? Have you seen the demo session, Santosh? Actually, in the demo session, we had used something called a script tag with SRC, the path from where UI5 is loading. That is called Bootstrap. We will discuss this in our unit number 11 when we'll start with UI5 introduction. Right now, we are still making our foundation ready for SAP UI5. Okay. We are still at the foundation level. When the time comes, I will inject that injection of antibiotic in your body, and that day you will understand pretty easily what is the bootstrap, what is dot slash, what is dot slash, what is SAP hyphen UI hyphen resource roots, what is SAP UI XX binding syntax equal to complex. Those things we will discuss in detail. Let the time come. You will die if I give you such heavy dose of antibiotic now. Okay.
Anubhav, Santosh,
Yes.
you said div is a portion which will be dividing the entire page into your blocks. So whenever we are using it, it's coming in a new line.
Right.
So how to place beside that?
Span tag.
For example, it's a span.
Span is inline. You see here, this is what we discussed yesterday. This is also used to group the elements, but it doesn't start a new line like div does. See?
So we need to give the width and the space to divide
You
that
can
into
give the
two
width
different
at the element level also. This is all CSS questions which will be covered in the next class. All these are our CSS things. CSS में यही पढ़ेंगे हम लोग. So my request to all of you guys, you know what is my style of learning and studying? I always keep a notebook and pen with me. Whenever I start my learning, I always keep a notebook and pen with me. And whenever I'm watching the video later on for refreshing, I always note down because my Guruji used to say in school time, I was studying in a very small pathshala, very small school. I mean, initial days of my school, my fees was like 120 rupees a month. So this is the kind of school I've studied in a very small town of Gujarat. So my Guruji used to always, and I still remember, जब आप हाथ से लिखते हो तो उंगलियों को याद हो जाता है. I don't know, for people those who don't understand Hindi, when you write from your fingers will remember. And this has played a very important role in my life. Anything or everything which I learn, I always have this habit of writing it with my notebook. Of course, with the time of computers, we are all become, more like typographic, but this the technique of still the conventional technique of learning is very powerful. So my request and recommendation to all of you, how I learn and remember things, is to buy a notebook and pen today. Go to the market. It doesn't cost you much, and getting into habit. And when you do that, you will also see a lot of changes. It will impact it. Initially, it will be very difficult for you to keep writing everything with a notebook and pencil. But remember, later on, when the topics become bigger, when things become more challenging for you, these notes which you are preparing will help you, because your fingers will remember what you have written. And the second biggest advantage, when your family see you doing that, when your manager see you doing that, they will also have that feel that you're really doing hard work. जब किसी को पढ़ते हुए लिखते हुए देखते हैं हमको कॉपी पेन में, तो we also see you're really doing hard work. He's serious about the learning. So I want to see that seriousness. How many of you can show me that seriousness where you are writing? You will not believe, there are some of my students who are so passionate about the UI5 learning. They've actually done the same thing, and now they've sent me a photo of their notebook by taking from their camera of the phone. They've taken photo, and वो photo मेरे को भेजा उन्होंने कि देखो अनुभव सर, मैंने notebook में लिखा है सब कुछ. And this helped them a lot. Every single interview they cracked, because they carry their own notebook which has all the notes written, all the topics written in it. Important is learning, but also important is learn how to learn. That is more important. So if you know how to learn, you can learn anything in the world. This is my secret which I am sharing with you. This is the biggest secret of my learning. I always carry, if you come to my home, ever visit my home, then you will see there are long pile of notebooks which I have at my home, starting my school days to my engineering days to anything. Even you ask me today how to design a flip-flop vending machine, I can do that with digital electronics. Even you ask me what is operational amplifier 741 IC, and how to create a circuit diagram with 741 and 555 IC timer IC, I can do that today because I have everything written in my notebooks. मैं तुरंत notebook खोलूंगा और आपको बता दूंगा कि ये concept ऐसे काम करता है. You ask me field effect transistor, normal transistor, MOSFET, metal oxide field effect transistor, flip-flops, vending machines, applied electronics, communication engineering, analog communication, mechanical, two-stroke, four-stroke combustion engines. How does the engine work? The topics which I learned years and years ago, I do still remember. And if I don't remember, तुरंत मेरा notebook में निकाल के देख लूंगा. 5 मिनट में मैं कोई भी engineering का subject पढ़ा सकता हूँ. In just 5 minutes, I can recall, revise everything. I can open the chapter of my mind, and immediately I can give you that. Immediately I can give you that concept. I'm from electronics background. If I can do it, most of you are from MCA and computer science. Why you can't do it? And by the way, I am an ABAPer. And I'm sure 80%, 70% of the audience here, they are all ABAPers. So you all also can do it. But important is not to get into everything, and also to note down what is relevant for you. Have these things noted down in your notebook. Buy a notebook and take a pledge कि 2 घंटा रोज स्टडी करोगे. मैं चैलेंज देता हूँ, कोई इंटरव्यू में रिजेक्ट नहीं कर पाएगा आपको. It's my challenge. Money back guarantee to all of you. Interview, you will not be, nobody can reject you. But you should have that hard work. Bring a notebook today, bring a pen and notebook, fresh one, write whatever you believe in on that first page, and then start with second page, writing down these things, because over a period of time, these learnings are going to become huge. In just 2 chapters, we have learned so much. In upcoming days, you cannot imagine how much learning we will have it. So at that time, things will become challenging for you. How will you recall those things? Another biggest benefit, if you have kids at home, they will see their mama, their papa is doing so much of hard work, writing it, everything with the notebook. They will also see you and they will imitate you. So just try to understand everyone on the family, what you do has an impact. Your kids are going to become like you because they are watching you every day and night. Are you doing, what are you feeding them? What are you giving them, your next generation? Are you just chatting, chit chatting on internet all the time? Are you just doing WhatsApp and all, wasting your time on Facebook all the time on your phone? If you are doing that, your kids are watching you, they will also become like you. But if you are doing hard work, you are writing everything with the notebook, you're studying hard, they will also imitate you. They will also see, if my dad, my mama is doing so much of hard work for their livings, for their work, they will also become like you. So you don't have to then feed in anything extra into them. They will also, and try to get this detached from the phone habit, guys. Give some personal time for your learning. This is important for your growth. Next question here on the iframe contains HTML from controls. Iframe is simply just understand, Alok. It is just going to bring an HTML page and going to put it inside. So any HTML page in the world, because everything is in HTML, ultimately browser only understand HTML. So every website sends an HTML to browser. So any HTML, any website which is giving an HTML, you can actually use it. JSP is a framework which converts your Java program to a HTML page. So JSP ultimate output is producing an HTML page because browser don't understand JSP. Browser only and only understand HTML. So JSP is also converting something to an HTML page. Okay, so that's why iframe can display anything in the world. Any website you can embed via an iframe. You can try that out, it will work. Okay, JSP is also converting a Java program to an HTML page. Okay, Web IDE Personal Edition is a web application server. Yes, Web IDE is actually a web application server and an application also inside which is running. And you want to see that how to start that web application server, we are already doing it. If you come to Web IDE folder, you see every day we are double clicking this Orion exe. What is it? It's a web application server. We are starting this web application. Then only when you type localhost colon 8080, it's giving you this web IDE application response. If you do not type, if you just type this and don't run Orion exe, it won't give you response, because response comes when you start this Orion exe. This is your web server. Orion is one of the web server. If you read about Orion, you will see it's a web server by Apache. It's an open source web server by Apache. Just search for Orion server. It's a product of Apache company. This is what is an open source web server. You see there's a GitHub also here. It's a web server based on Apache. There is also another server called Chi server. Chi server. Okay. This is also another server which is an open source. The WebID full stack is implementation is based on Chi server. But WebID which you use personal edition, its implementation is based on Orion technology, Orion server. That's also web server. Little heavy dose, but I have to answer the question which you asked me. Is it too early to ask how to convert an existing JavaScript view to an XML view? Can you please? Yeah, there is nothing like one button conversion. There is no way to do that. Yeah, you have to learn both the types of views, XML views and JavaScript views. Read through the code and manually do that. There is no auto conversion option. There is no hard and fast tips to do that. As and when I will teach you XML view, you will become more comfortable. Rather than using or converting, you will rewrite the whole XML view faster. Okay, so that let the time come. At that time we will see that. Unable to restrict the input character using the max length property. How to do that? Let's give a try quickly. So there's a question, how can we restrict the number of characters here? So let's put an input tag and I say label first for my understanding. Restrict, and I'll just put an input max length equals to 2. Save this up. Let's come back and refresh the page. Restricted. And you see when I'm typing more, it's not taking. What is the problem? I'm trying to type more. It's more than 2 characters. It's not accepting. Yeah, it works. I don't know why it didn't work. You can try my code. I will give this code in the training block. You can try with that. Okay. How to create ID dynamically for development? Very advanced question. But why do you need to do that creation? Are you building a framework? Because this is like building, if you want to build your own framework like UI5, that is when this requirement comes into picture. Okay, you can do that dynamically, build it via JavaScript. So let the JavaScript chapter comes. I will show you this as an example. Okay, clicking on a button, entering the input field, how to handle that. Of course, that's all programming language, guys. Try to understand that we can't cover everything in one session. Heavy dose of antibiotic. JavaScript chapter is around the corner. Maybe we will start this chapter by Friday. So that is when you will start getting the answers of your questions. Some of your questions are answered today. Some of them will also be answered in upcoming days. Now there was one more question about if I want to align my input field, how can I do that? So you see this input fields which we had put yesterday, it doesn't look proper alignment, right? You can actually apply a trick of creating a table. Yes, add a table. Inside the table, you're going to add those elements. So let me do that quickly. I'll just go back, and you see this was input fields. Yeah, here we had input fields. So I'm going to use a table control, and I just put a table with body, no header. So behind the scene, it's a table. With every table has a tr tag. Inside that a td tag. So two td tags inside, and then we have another tr tag. Then we have another td tag inside, and then another td tag inside. And now just bring it on your label input properly अपने आप align हो जाएगा, कुछ करने का जरूरत ही नहीं है. So just bring it on this. So I have applied kind of I have reused the table. Actually it's not a table, but it's giving me a feature to bring a layout. Yeah, table is kind of creating a layout for me. I just save this, come back and refresh the page, and watch out. You will see here that our input field label will be aligned. Voila! Can you see the difference? How does it look? The above one, there is no alignment. However, look at this one. User को पता भी नहीं चलेगा कि background में table है, but it has done a proper alignment of your cells. That's the beauty of a table control. So that's another trick to align your content properly. If you wish to, you can do that pretty easily as compared to the last example we used our table. अगर मैं last session में बताता तो confuse हो जाते because table control was not covered in the last class. Since now we today covered the table control, you can understand now this example. So when the time comes, you will understand things. I understand your excitement and curiosity in learning, but please understand my situation. I can't cover all 40 hours in one day. Okay, so this is the reason we have to do it. Okay, so let the time come. Some of your questions which I didn't answer today will be answered in upcoming days. Thank you so much, and thank you so much also those who are following this session via the video. Please do keep writing me. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Have a nice day. Goodbye. Yes, please. Last question.
Anubhav, Hari here. Yeah, I told the image is not displaying right.
Yes, let's see.
I tried. Yeah, I tried in Explorer also. In there also it is not working.
Did you check the path properly?
Yes, I checked it.
I'll give you the presenter rights. I have to rush for the office, but anyway, let's quickly check it if we can see that.
Yeah.
Please share your screen quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see your screen. Go ahead, please. Okay.
Yeah.
Images.
Here is the path.
Sir, you have created the images folder outside the project folder. Your project folder is basic HTML. Please cut this folder, right click on images folder. You can copy also, no need to cut. You can say copy and paste it inside the project folder. अब चलाइए सर, चलेगा आपका? कैसे नहीं चलेगा? So max length will not work for input type number. It will only and only work for if you want for number max length, please use max. Okay. Yeah. It won't work for numbers. Yes. Okay. Please. Okay. Wait a second, please. Right click on your basic HTML. Run configuration.
Yeah.
Yes. Go inside. Your Orion server is no more running. Your Orion server is no more running. Please close Orion
Okay.
server and restart Orion server. It will work for sure because you had kept the image folder outside the project. Usko mila hi nahi wo project. So that was the answer. It will work for sure. You can check it. If you can check now faster, then we can see it. And I told you to run always it as an administrator. You are still running
Yeah, because
it as normal. Anyway, you can proceed still. So these are the
because
things which you miss out when you don't create notes. But when you create
yeah,
notes on your own, you will
I
never miss
remember,
out those things.
but it is my office laptop. I don't have admin right.
Okay. But you will face some problems going forward in future. Just refresh your page once on the top and re-log in because these small things create problems and you will never be able to figure out those ones. And
Yeah,
there you go. Image comes up.
yeah, yeah.
That
Thanks,
was a
man.
mistake. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow, guys.